The past couple seasons have spoiled NFL fans with wideouts Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase breaking rookie year receiving records in consecutive seasons. While no wide receiver continued the streak this year, the top receivers from the 2022 draft made some big impacts this season, and they should be very exciting to watch in the years to come. The Atlanta Falcons selected USC wideout Drake London with the 8th pick in the 2022 NFL draft, making him the first receiver off the board. In his last season in college, London cleared 1,000 yards in just 8 games before an injury ended his junior season. But that total was still enough for him to win 2021 Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. London finished his 3-year college career with just over 2,100 yards and 15 touchdowns through the air, while also playing in 3 college basketball games for the Trojans. London came out of the gates strong in the NFL, posting 13 catches for 160 yards and a touchdown in his first 2 games. He cooled off through the middle of the season with the Falcons, focusing on their rushing attack, but London finished strong, averaging 85 receiving yards in his last 5 games of the season, including a 120-yard outing in Week 18 versus the Buccaneers. London played in every game as a rookie and finished his first season with a total of 866 yards and 4 touchdowns. Certainly respectable for a rookie on an offense focused on the run game. The New York Jets took Garrett Wilson out of The Ohio State University with the 10th pick of the 2022 draft. Over 3 years in Columbus, Wilson tallied more than 2,200 yards and 23 touchdowns through the air, and in his last 3 college games, he totaled 371 yards and 6 touchdowns. After a 52-yard outing in his first NFL game, Wilson burst onto the scene in Week 2 by catching 8 balls for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 31-30 win at Cleveland. Wilson cleared 100 yards in 2 more games against New England in Week 8 and a 162-yard explosion at Minnesota in Week 12. Both of those performances came in losses, and Wilson wasn't very shy about showing his frustration with the Jets' offense, and specifically Zach Wilson. Instead, Garrett Wilson clearly favored backup Mike White, and even said he'd go to war for him after a loss. By the end of the season, Wilson racked up more than 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns, and won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Even more impressive is putting up those numbers, catching passes thrown by Zach Wilson, Mike White, Chris Streveler, and Joe Flacco. With the next pick in the draft, the Saints selected fellow Ohio State receiver Chris Olave, 11th overall. Olave and Wilson were actually the first pair of wide receiver teammates to ever be named to the PFWA All-American team in the same season. Olave finished his college career top 5 in program history with 176 receptions for more than 2,700 yards, and his 35 career touchdowns were 4th most in Big Ten history. In the NFL, like Garrett Wilson, Olave had 3 100-yard games, 4 touchdowns, and finished his rookie campaign with more than 1,000 yards, finishing just 61 yards behind his college teammate in year 1. Olave was an Offensive Rookie of the Year finalist alongside Wilson, and you can bet that the pair of wideouts will be compared for their entire careers. The Washington Commanders made Penn State wideout Jhin Dotson the 3rd receiver off the board, selecting him with the 16th overall pick. Dotson finished his career at Penn State as the program's 2nd all-time receiver by receptions and receiving touchdowns, and 4th all-time in receiving yards. In Week 1 of his first NFL season, Dotson snagged 2 impressive receiving touchdowns. He added another score in Week 2, and he finished his rookie campaign with 7 touchdowns in 12 games. Dotson finished the year with 523 receiving yards, missing 5 games in the middle of the season due to a hamstring injury. Like Drake London, Dotson finished very strong, averaging 72.5 yards per game over the last month of the season, which did include his lone 100-yard game in Week 15 against the Giants on Sunday Night Football. The future is bright for Jhin Dotson, who is already miles ahead of the last JD Washington drafted in the first round. The Tennessee Titans picked Arkansas wideout Treyland Burks with the 18th pick in the 2022 draft, a pick they received from the Eagles in exchange for A.J. Brown. Over 32 games in college, Burks came just 1 yard short of 2,400 receiving yards and earned first-team All-SEC honors in his last year in Fayetteville. The Titans opted to go with a cheaper rookie receiver instead of paying up for an A.J. Brown extension, and at least for year 1, they got what they paid for. Burks cleared 100 yards in a game just once. Week 11 at Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. Burks finished the year with just 444 yards and 1 touchdown receiving across 11 games. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown earned second-team All-Pro honors en route to a Super Bowl appearance in his first season in Philadelphia after signing a $100 million contract extension. Sure, it didn't help Burks that his quarterbacks for most of the year were a banged-up Ryan Tannehill, rookie Malik Willis, and Josh Dobbs, but the Titans easily could have just paid for their proven stud. After a 4-year playing career at North Dakota State, the Packers selected Christian Watson with the 2nd pick in the 2nd round. Watson was a 2-year FCS All-American and played in 3 FCS National Championship games. Watson amassed more than 2,100 receiving yards and 16 total touchdowns at NDSU. At the 2021 Senior Bowl, Watson excelled with his 6'4" frame and his 4.36 speed. Watson continued to make a name for himself in his first NFL game, except this time it was for a brutal mistake. On Green Bay's first offensive play from scrimmage, Watson was wide open, but he dropped a perfect deep ball and finished the day with just 2 catches. He remained in the very infamous Aaron Rodgers doghouse until he exploded for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys in Week 10, the start of a 4-game stretch where he scored 7 touchdowns. Watson didn't score in the last 4 games of the season, though he did have 104 yards Week 18 en route to a 611-yard rookie campaign. Now, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love throwing him the ball next season, the Packers have their next stud receiver in Christian Watson. The Steelers picked Georgia wideout George Pickens, 52nd overall, as the 2nd receiver taken in the 2nd round. He would have likely been a first-round pick if not for an ACL injury he suffered in a March practice ahead of his junior year. Incredibly, Pickens returned to the field just 8 months later, catching 1 pass for 5 yards in the last game of the regular season against Georgia Tech. In that same game, he was later ejected for throwing punches, though. Though Pickens only caught 5 passes across 4 games as a junior, he did make an incredible 52-yard catch in a win against Alabama in the national championship. Drafted alongside quarterback Kenny Pickett, Pickens was a preseason favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Although he wasn't a finalist for the award, he did have enough wow plays sprinkled into his 800-yard, 4-touchdown rookie season to justify the hype. The Colts drafted 6'3" wide receiver Alec Pierce with the pick right after Pickens, number 53 overall in the 2nd round. After playing special teams his freshman year at Cincinnati, Pierce developed into a very physical receiver, and he was the number 1 receiving option for Cincinnati's passing attack in its historic Group of 5 playoff season. In the NFL, Pierce had 80-plus yards 3 times, including a Thursday night game at Denver. He finished the season with 593 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. With a high-caliber rookie quarterback likely coming to Indianapolis next season, Pierce has shown enough to make a name for himself moving forward. The Packers went back to the receiver well in the 4th round, taking Nevada star Romeo Doubs with the 132nd pick. Doubs finished his college career with more than 3,000 receiving yards yards after clearing 1,000 yards in each of his last 2 seasons. Dobbs played in the Packers' first 9 games and was the top rookie wideout on the team before the emergence of Christian Watson down the stretch. Dobbs did pick up an ankle injury in week 9 against the Lions. That sidelined him until week 15. He finished his rookie year with over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. With all that said, the last rookie receiver still standing was Sky Moore, who helped set the Chiefs up for the kick that sent them to the Super Bowl with the key punt return against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Moral of the story, if you want an instant impact rookie, I'd say receiver is the way to go.